En Camino with Kit Hogg.
50 years ago, I travelled overland from Australia to England on an ill-defined route that is today dismissively referred to as the Hippie Trail. It was a journey across 15 countries that took me 10 months. Bus, boat, train, short-haul flights and hitching. A life-changing experience at a tender age, planting jewels in the memory, one of the most precious of them being Afghanistan. Afghanistan in the 70s was a traveller's paradise. A twisted land of hard-edged peaks and stone desert interspersed by green oases of apple and apricot. An ancient Asian confluence of pristine lakes, giant standing Buddhas and sapphire domes of mosques. To breathe in Afghanistan was not only a giddy taste of freedom, but a tangible past, something like time travel. In retrospect, Afghanistan in the 70s was an overripe fruit, still juicy but ready to drop and fall apart, which is what happened. The door to any vestige of tourism slammed shut. The next decade saw a bloody war with Soviet Russia, the rise of the US-backed Mujahideen, followed by Al-Qaeda and, more latterly, the Taliban. But a handful of intrepid travellers still make it to Afghanistan, one of whom is my guest today. It's highly unlikely that anyone in the world has driven a Toyota pickup further than Paul Moody, who joins me now. Paul, hello and good morning.
Hello, Kit, and it's good to speak with you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for your time. And but before we talk about Afghanistan, I wonder if you could give us a brief itinerary of your trips in this truck. And when and where did you start?
Well, I started in Gibraltar by buying an Africa spec Toyota Hilux. And
when was that, Paul?
Oh, back in 2007.
Okay.
And then with my traveling buddy Alan, we set off, and in stages we had a plan to drive down to Cape Town. And so that was in 3 sections of a trip. We drove from here to Ghana,
mm-hmm.
and took about 2 weeks, and then we drove, went home, did the day job, etc., and returned, and we then the next sector was down to Gabon, and similar deal. We dropped the car and returned, and then we drove on to Cape Town.
So it was easy to leave the car safely?
Well, yes, because I'm a great believer in service, and the Toyota dealers were very receptive to servicing the car and holding it until my return.
Ah, brilliant! Yeah, you had Toyota on side.
That's right.
That's great. And but you've been to more places than Africa since.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the turning point was when we got to Cape Town. What do we do now? Because the initial idea had been just to drive to Cape Town. So we carried on, and we drove up to Cairo.
On the east side?
Oh, yes. I'm a coast hugger.
Yes.
I follow the coast.
Okay.
And so then from Cairo, we carried on our way, and we finished up in Vladivostok at the end of Russia. And
right, okay, hang on a second. So you took a big right turn in Cairo, and
that's right.
Drove right across Asia. In fact, the longest, probably contiguous landmass of them all.
Yes,
but that wasn't coast hugging, though, was it?
No. And that came later, because we then on this particular first round the world trip, we drove down to. We shipped to Seattle on the Pacific. We drove the Pacific coast down to Ushuaia in Argentina, and then we came up the Atlantic right back to Venezuela, and then shipped back to Europe and had to think, what can we do next? And well, it continued from there. A number of trips, thereafter.
Right. And where is this Valiant pickup now?
It's in my garage. It's my everyday car.
Oh, really? It's your daily drive?
Yeah, and it just passed its annual test with flying colours last week.
Oh, brilliant! And how many miles has it got on the clock? How many Ks or miles has it got on the clock?
About 380,000.
Yeah, all on the same motor?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Incredible. So let's talk about Afghanistan. Afghanistan, are you mad? This was the caption for the publicity that you issued for the excellent lecture that you gave in Pueblo Nuevo, Soto Grande recently. And this trip was a rather different formula because you didn't take the Toyo or your travelling buddy Alan. Can you tell us what format it took?
Yes, it was having travelled all the countries in the region except Afghanistan. I really wanted to get to it, and there's an overland travel company called Madventure. And they specialise in going to places where most people don't want to go. And they organised the first overland trip by truck from Pakistan to Iran, the first trip since 1979. And they had all sorts of issues and problems getting permissions, but succeeded. And I was the lucky one. I was on board.
Right, and before we go to Afghanistan, where else do they go? Where else do people not want to go that Madventure do?
Well, this particular truck, they have 3 trucks, and each truck takes about goes on an 11-month trip, and the truck I was on starts in Istanbul, makes across to the Silk Roads up to China. And then it comes down from Beijing to Nepal, Kathmandu, Bhutan, down into Bangladesh, India, and then to Pakistan, where I picked it up.
Right. And
I was only on for 26 days. Some guys were on this truck for 11 months.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. And the same driver, the same crew.
Same crew, and who were absolutely brilliant. But they too had never been to Afghanistan, understandably. But the company also has a truck that runs around Africa. It starts in Morocco every October. That runs for 11 months, and then another truck runs around South America.
So you picked it up where?
Islamabad in Pakistan.
Okay, and that was like you obviously had to book, and they had a space for you, yeah. So
that's right, because there were 1 or 2 Americans on board who didn't choose to travel through Afghanistan.
Okay, so so who were your compañeros on this truck? And what was the truck like? Was it remotely comfortable?
It was quite. It was a specially purposed truck. It was a Mercedes, and it had seating on board for 25 people. And these are like airline seats where you're strapped into. And on board is every facility in terms of being able to cook and camp and carry water, etc. And there were 17 of us on, 11 men, 6 women, and we were 6 nationalities, including Spanish.
Okay. What sort of age group?
Well, they were all, surprisingly, they were all of an uncertain age. They were all in their majority was 60 plus. In fact, the oldest guy on board was 81.
Wicked. Right.
He was remarkable.
So seasoned travellers.
Absolutely. Not a bother, not a complaint. not an issue.
Right.
A few tricky characters, I might add, but they were well used to this form of travel.
Yeah, yeah. And was there a toilet on board?
No.
Okay.
Basically,
how often did you stop?
Wild toilets, and the boys went to the left and the girls to the right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, for you, you're not used to traveling with other people, are you, Paul? You're used to traveling with Alan and the Toyota.
That's true.
How easy was it to deal with a group?
Very, very easy, because they were all of my mindset, and we were all on the same wavelength.
Oh, right. Okay. So that must have been enriching.
Absolutely. And as much as I think I'm well travelled, I met people much more travelled than I.
Really? Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you formed a kind of a team, a bit of a bond going on.
Oh yes, which through WhatsApp continues today, because these characters just haven't gone home, and
they're still going, are they?
Oh, they're all over the world. They're all over the world.
Great, yeah. So right. So you let's just go to the journey. You left Islamabad, and then I'm imagining you headed to the Khyber Pass. We
did, and just on visas, I might add, which are very difficult to get for many countries, but Pakistan are focused on tourists, the same as Afghanistan. So Pakistan, you get your visa on arrival at the airport. Couldn't be easy.
Oh, that is easy, right?
Yes, and so Afghanistan, we'd pre-booked it. We just had to call in the consulate in Peshawar in Pakistan, and it was waiting for us, and picked it up, and we carried on our way.
But Paul, you just said that Afghanistan is focused on tourism. That would surprise, certainly, that surprises me.
It's a necessity for foreign exchange. And when you think that last year only 7,000 tourists went to Afghanistan, and I understand that there's literally 16,000 a day going to Gibraltar. It's for a country the size and population of Spain, that is nothing.
Yeah, sure. And actually, did you see any other tourists while you were there? No,
I didn't see anybody.
Yeah, well, that's quite nice, actually, isn't it? Because it's it's really depressing when you're surrounded by tourists all jostling with mobile phones and what have you. It makes you kind of want to give up somehow. I'm thinking standing outside the Sagrada Familia or something like that. So give us a sense of Afghanistan. What are you left with as a residue? Some of the more outstanding memories.
Well, I think the entry to Afghanistan, driving up the Khyber Pass, that will last with me forever, because I don't know why I've got this. The evocative name of the Khyber Pass has always been with me, and to travel it was exactly as I imagined it would be. Rugged, remote, and in fact dangerous.
Yeah, slightly sort of sinister.
Correct.
Yeah, you kind of expect to be ambushed somehow.
Well, that does happen up there, and but it's a major trade confluence between the two countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and but the borders are regularly closed. It had just been closed for 6 weeks before we got there, and there were literally hundreds and hundreds of trucks still waiting to go through, and they've been there for a month.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Trucks at frontiers. Wow.
Yeah.
Endless reserves of patience, and
that's true. And but we were escorted. We were privileged. We had a military escort from Pakistan. That with the sirens blazing, we rocked straight up to the border. When we got to the border post, we trooped in to the passport control. They sidetracked us into an ante room and fed us lunch. We had a feast. and not expected at all. And but with all the local dignitaries, because we were very high profile as the returnees of the hippies on the trail to go through the country.
Oh, really? You're right.
And so we were television, TikTok, whatever it was. They were waiting for us.
Do you think that's nostalgia for the hippie trail? They kind of remember it. People coming through.
But in your time, you were the main source of income back in the 70s, and that source of income, as there is no income.
Yes.
And so it's the society is incredibly poor, and it's got the lowest birth rate, the highest mortality for both infants and seniors. It's very poor. It's a desperate country.
Right. Okay. So the women. I mean, we read so much. The women and the Taliban. Let's go there. You had a Taliban escort, did you not?
We did, and so because there are regular Taliban checkpoints, and they didn't know what to do with a truckload of foreigners going through.
But Paul, hang on a minute. You just said you were welcomed with open arms and actually given a feed.
Yes,
the Taliban, further on, they didn't hear about that.
No. Well, that was on the Pakistan side.
Ah, right. Okay.
And as we went across to the Afghanistan side, we thought, well, we're going to have a huge party here, and they didn't know what to do with us. And so we met our reception committee that included a Taliban armed guard in 2 vehicles, and they went ahead of us to the Taliban checkpoints, basically getting us clearance to get through the checkpoints as fast as possible. And so it was, sometimes it worked, other times it didn't.
Mm. Did you see any women on the road? I mean, were the women around?
Very, very few. We saw the women working on the land, labouring, but we seldom saw them out on the streets. Mm. And but on this subject of women, which is on everybody's minds at the moment, there actually, to our surprise, there were so many people who could speak English wanted to talk to us, and nearly always they said, "What do you think about the Taliban policy on women?" And because, as we know, the women are what can I say? Very, very second-class citizens. In that young girls have to leave school at 12 now. And so no further education from 12. Women are not allowed to become doctors or nurses or midwives anymore. And yet the menfolk are not allowed to intermingle with women. It's a crazy situation. But the country's in a state of evolution. With a new constitution being written by the Taliban, but where you have evolution, you have revolution. And on this one point alone, I believe there will be revolution.
Interesting that you had conversations with people, but they weren't frightened to talk to you, which indicates that possibly they weren't being watched by Big Brother, overly censored.
No, that's a good point, but yes, we had to be careful though, because our Taliban escort, the guides were very educated, but they weren't actually tourist guides because there's no tourists. So they're educated people who were just guiding us around with not a lot of knowledge really. And but our Taliban guard, he was treated with great respect and very warily.
Was he the same guy through the whole trip?
It was, right. And it was, more later of how I had a bit of a confrontation with him towards the end of the trip. But he was the silent Joe who was always around, and and totally undemonstrative.
Oh, right. It can kind of. Did you strike out any kind of relationship with him? All right, mate. Or how you doing today, or anything like that?
Well, of course, out of courtesy, we would salute him, but he didn't speak English, but he pretended he didn't speak English. That was what we discovered later.
Okay. Right. So you're staying with him. What was the contretemps you had with him?
Well, literally on the last day of the trip, he asked if he could take my photograph, and I said, "Yeah, fine." And so he took my picture, and then we went into a museum, a military museum, and we were coming out, and we were talking amongst each other, and he was sitting very closely by us, and my guide whispered to me, "Be careful, do you know that he is recording you?"
Oof.
Oh, I was so taken aback, and in fact I was darned annoyed, and I spoke to my colleagues about an hour later, just saying, "I just discovered he's been recording me," the Taliban. And they said, "We thought he was acting, we thought for the last few days he was doing something similar." And so I confronted him and asked if I could take his photograph. And he said, no, not possible. And I said, "Well, you took my picture." And he said he just wouldn't engage with me. He then took my camera and he pushed his gun into my hands, an AK-47, and he took a picture of me holding his gun. And I'm a bit surprised.
Yes.
And then he obviously returned the camera and took the gun. And a moment later, my friend said, "What did you do that for?" I said, "Well, it just happened." He said, "Well, this is very compromising. Did you hear what happened to the Swedish guy?" "No, what happened?" "Well, a similar thing happened to a Swedish guy, and he was subsequently apprehended, and he was in jail for 7 years in Afghanistan for carrying a weapon."
Blimey. Well, was this on the last day, Paul?
Yes, literally on the last day. Okay. And so we were 24 hours from getting out of the country, and that was a very long 24 hours for me.
Right. Okay. So,
but until that point, I felt totally safe everywhere I'd been.
Yeah. So anyway, the moral of that story is steer clear of the AK-47. I'm intrigued by your days, though. Give us a daily routine. Okay.
Normally we would have wherever we stayed.
Yeah, where were the night stops typically?
Okay, the night stops. Well, for obvious reasons, with no tourists, they've got a very poor infrastructure of accommodation, and but we had the best of what they had available, and in Kabul and other centres, the accommodation was acceptable. We slept in beds, but most of the other time we just slept on the carpeted floors. As the locals do, and it was
the carpeted floors of where? Kind of private homes or?
No, these were technically these were overnight stops where people, travellers would just sleep on the floor, which, as I say, is the norm.
Okay. Yeah.
And and so on the food, we'd normally get some local food. Before we left, we always left by 8 o'clock in the morning. But if we were on a 6 a.m. departure, we'd have something to eat actually on the truck.
What was the local food? Describe Afghan cuisine. Give us.
Well, it's very basic, as you might imagine, but lots of chapatis and whatever you could roll into it, salad or meat or. Not very, very basic food, but hot food tended to be either a chicken stew or a lamb stew on rice, and it was fine. There's no problem.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm actually feeling quite peckish at the moment. Paul, I just want to ask you finally about the morale of the general sense of the feeling in the air. I mean, when the only place I get to regularly these days is Morocco, and I never leave Morocco without being infused by how happy someone can be with so little.
Yes.
Was there a feeling of that at all in Afghanistan? Are people happy?
I would think so. They're all busy because it's subsistence, and the children play and wave, and the adults are respectful, curious, and it is a poor country, but we didn't actually see poverty. We didn't actually see begging in the streets. We didn't see people down and out. We saw poor people, but not desperate.
Mm. Mm. How long was the trip? How long did it take you actually to get from? You went from
I was
Islamabad to Isfahan, yeah?
Yes, or to Shiraz actually, just beyond, and it was 26 of the best days of my life.
Wow, wicked.
It was that good.
So, would you go back?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I barely scratched the surface, and but I'm going to go back in my Toyota next time so I can really get around. But you have to be escorted all the time. Do
you think you'll be able to arrange an escort with a Toyota?
Yes,
okay.
I would say so. But there are quite a few countries where, such as China, where you have to be escorted in your own vehicle anyway, and so it's not that uncommon.
Do you pay for that generally?
Oh yes, typically it's about $100 US a day.
Right.
But in Pakistan, and I've been a few times, it's all free of charge. So you have your own escort, your own military escort who are with you at all times.
Right. Okay. Paul Moody, it's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Not at all, Kit. It was a great pleasure talking to you.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Thanks so much. Goodbye.